do you think?
Oh, what do I think right here at WCRS? I think it's a beautiful day out there. How are you doing this morning? We are now live on Facebook, WCRS 98.5 FM /1450 AM. I could use a little love this morning, so if you want to make a comment here this morning, got my hair done yesterday. You can tell me what you think. 864-229-7984. But go on Facebook and say, "Oh, Ann, you're looking terrible. Oh, Ann, you're looking great. Oh, Ann, you just look like Ann." All right, however you want to do it, I'd love you to check out our Facebook Live right here on WCRS for WCRS /1450 AM. Now, that's the website. WCRS, our Facebook page, WCRS at 98.5 FM /1450 AM. If you're on Facebook, check it out. If you want to give me a comment right there on our chat line, 864-229-7984. Love to hear from you. Of course, if you want to call, you certainly can. The only problem with a call, I won't get it till after the show, but hey, that's okay. I love getting that. I love the fact when y'all leave me messages, just for the record, telling me I'm doing a good job here. It's tough every day to get up and try to figure out what to talk about, if you get my drift. You know, I really remember days when I first started this show. What was it, 2007, 8, 9, 10, in that time frame, where you actually had to look for stories to make the day. You know, you had to go out and go, "Oh my God, what are we going to talk about today?" And now it's like, oh my gosh, what is out there and which story to pick? That's the problem. That is the problem. So we are right here this morning, WCRS Radio, and let's do a quick check of the weather just because the weather looks like it's pretty darn beautiful. Let's see if it's going to maintain all day today. Right now it is 80 degrees, feels like 87. Oh, Lord, we are pumping it back up. Today is Wednesday. Sun and clouds mixed. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. High near 90 degrees, and we only have about a 15% chance of any showers. Tonight we're going to cool down to 73. Winds light and variable. Chance of rain bumps up to about 50%. Coming in on Thursday, scattered thunderstorms in the morning, partly cloudy skies late, high of 88, chance of rain is 60%. And Thursday night, a few clouds, light and variable, no real chance of any rain, according to the weather report here. Friday, a high of 91. Partly cloudy with afternoon showers or thunderstorms, chance of rain 60%. Friday night with their jamboree, it's going to be mostly cloudy with showers and a few thunderstorms, low of 72, chance of rain 50%. Of note, we will not be broadcasting the jamboree right here on WCRS. We're going to start with their first season game the following Friday. So no football on Emerald this Friday. So it will pick up next Friday. So just FYI, if you were looking forward to it, then that's not what we're going to see. So let's get busy. Let's talk about some of the topics that I want to talk about here this morning. Lots of good ones. Just happened to look over here. This is from the South Carolina Gazette. I mean, I just opened this up and I was just like, whoa. The nonprofit that coordinates organ transplants in South Carolina could fold under federal change. Well, I certainly hope that will not happen. It says the transplants group certification will be under scrutiny in 2026. This is more than 300 South Carolinians donated organs last year. Under a federal rule newly set for enforcement, the nonprofit that coordinates transplants across most of the state could fold, putting lives in the hands of out-of-state coordinators, the group leaders said. At We Are Sharing Hope, South Carolina, ranks amongst the lowest performing organ procurement organization in the country under the 2022 rule, which meant that to ensure as many viable organs as possible are transplanted. But the rating is unfair measure in a state where so many people lack health care, said David Stefano, the nonprofit's president. This is going to be an interesting story. If federal regulators shut down the organization, Sharing Hope for short, nonprofits from other states would be able to make their case to the federal government as to why they should take over South Carolina's organ donations, a role that involves talking to families, getting donors to transplant centers, and finding hospitals with patients able to receive the donated organs. Wow. According to the federal agency, responsibility for the new rule, the change is a way of pushing organ procurement organizations to do better after years of little oversight and no competition. If the procurement organization isn't meeting federal standards, then another should come in and make changes, according to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Service. According to Sharing Hope, they say that if instead of making things better, they have about 100 employees, it could instead cause disruptions in the system, potentially leading to fewer people deciding to donate. That's said by the president, Stefano of Sharing Hope. Sharing Hope's federal contracts covers all but two of the state's counties. Donations from Edgefield and Aiken counties are handled by LifeLink in Georgia. They are among 56 such nonprofits nationwide. Interesting. I can imagine a few things worse than having an organ procurement organization from out of this state who doesn't understand the intricacies, the subtleties, and the culture of the people, the environment, trying to run something as intimate and personal as end-of-life donation. Sharing Hope was there when a 4-year-old Bo decided they wanted to donate his organs. He was an autistic child. And evidently they got his organs. I'm not going to read any more. But the ultimate goal, of course, is for organs donated to end up with a patient in need. But the procurement organization also plays a major role in guiding families through the donation process and coordinating with hospitals to be sure organs arrive safely, he said. He worries whether a nonprofit from another state would have that same touch for the people it serves or the relationships with hospitals to meet those sort of requests. So, how about that? I don't know whether that's a right thing or a wrong thing. I don't know. It says that the Sharing Hope, which is the organization that does sets up for the transplants with procuring the organs and getting them. They are one of the lowest performing ones here in the state of South Carolina. So I don't know, but when you first look at that story, you're like, wow. We know how viable and what a good thing organ transplant is. I think one of the questions that would have to be asked is, why don't we have more organ transplants going on in our state? They're saying it's lack of health care. Is it the fact that they haven't done a good job? Sharing Hope, I would question. Have they done a good enough job being out there making sure that people are aware of this option? You know, all the time on your driver's license, they put that heart, and that means that you are an organ donor. So where does Sharing Hope come into that? Just another another part of the complicated picture with organizations closing, having to refine how they do things. They are a nonprofit. Will it be an issue of funding? What it says, what Sharing Hope really needs is more donors. During review of the 2023 transplants, regulators determined that 46 more donors would be the difference between automatically losing certification and being able to make its case for remaining in charge of the state's donations, according to federal data. Last year, Sharing Hope received organs from 305 donors, living and dead. Well, I guess if you do a kidney, well, of course, you can still live with one. That was actually the most in history. Whether the nonprofit will reach the threshold to keep operating next year is unclear. So that is a question out there. I would think that getting the number of donations up just means a little, maybe harder work. I'm not speaking from any knowledge here, but in making sure that people know this is possible. And of course, organ donation saves lives. So that would, of course, impact our bottom line. So organ donation is a personal decision. And that has to be another part of the puzzle, is getting people to realize that organ donation is a gift of life. So anyways, I just saw that story when I'm cruising around looking at all my news sources. I thought this is a good one to bring up. Any opinions on that? 864-229-7984. You can also go on Facebook Live and tell me, why'd you bring that story up, Ann? Anyways, let's get ready to talk about some of the other topics I wanted to talk about. You know, I find this story on the museums that President Trump wants to make sure that our museums are telling the story the way he wants it told. White House orders a review of exhibits at the Smithsonian Museums ahead of the nation's 250th birthday. And that's from the AP News. The Washington Post puts it this way: White House announces more aggressive review of Smithsonian museums. You see how just my intonation can change what the feeling is about the story? I guess I can see this as a viable. They have named a particular person. Lindsay Halligan is the central figure in driving the content review. She was explicitly named by Trump and will lead implementation. And of course, they have some great people at the museum, but Lonnie Bunch is renovating the nation's attic. That's an article from a while back. That was a great story. But how do we balance our history without the politics in it? How do we balance our history without the politics in it? I think that is the central question. One of the things that Trump wanted was the big exhibit evidently they had about the impeachments in the cases. They have gone back and changed that exhibit. They also say that they're going to be doing an exhibit of all the impeachments over the years, not just Trump's. But don't you find, where does it say what the history is we get is the history that it actually was? And that is whether it is President Donald Trump interpreting the history, or this other person, Halligan, interpreting history. Where do we get our biases from? Where do we actually find the truth as to what happened? And I think that is as we get ready to approach our 250th anniversary of South Carolina and the country, and even Greenwood, how do we know what is actually the truth? How do you have just the facts, ma'am, just the facts? Remember? Remember, what was that, Dragnet or something? Just the facts. How do we have just the facts? And I don't know how you ever have just the facts, because everything is open to interpretation. Yes, you can say that this battle happened on this day. Yes, you can say that the outcome was. But it's all the other stuff in between that is open to interpretation. So I find this a very interesting undertaking by President Trump to make sure, as most of the news media is, the history according to Trump. I don't really think it's the history according to Trump. I really think it is, are we getting our history correct? Look at how many history books, just in South Carolina, this has been a recurring theme, day in and day out, whether this history book reflects history as it is intended. But I wanted to mention this because it is a story in the news, and it does bear, at first blush, you could say, it's just Trump wanted to have the history according to Trump. Actually, I don't think so, but I think the worry, the other side of the coin is, are we getting our history right? That is the question. And how do you get history right? How do you get the history from 250 years to actually reflect the history as it happened, and that we know what it is? In today's world, with the internet, we have so many possibilities to reference things. But how do you get it right from 1775, 1774? How do we actually get it right? Well, the only way you can get it right is by the letters, things that were written at that time. I guess pictures that are still somehow preserved. But most of it is by that. So it's very easy to recollect it in a different way, isn't it? And that's what I think is a problem for society. And it goes into all different aspects of our lives. How do we remember, whether it was something that happened in Greenwood 100 years ago, or whether it is something that happened in Greenwood 50 years ago? Even the people telling the stories, even the news media telling the stories, have biases. So how do you ever really have history as what history actually is? I think the only way, in my opinion, is you have to present all sides to it. So how do you get it? How can the White House, with its mandated review of Smithsonian exhibit under President Trump's executive order, restoring truth and sanity to American history, how can you actually do that? I guess you could take the outlandish slants that are out there, but it's a very difficult thing to get our history right. And we'd like to think that those that are in history are looking at it from a non-political side. But in all things, everybody has their perceptions and their slants. There are so many different ways that this can be made wrong or right. I mean, just look at the Vietnam War. There's one. Look at all the slants that came in about the Vietnam War and how our people came back from the Vietnam War. We had our veterans come back and not even want to say that they had fought in the war. I've got all kinds of stories I've recorded over the years. Even people that came back to Greenwood that were advised, don't say you were in Vietnam. You don't want us to open up that door. And now we know that not all that was presented out there was right. Look at the newscasters that were slanting some of the stories. So that's one that you can look back and say, well, there are still people telling us stories about what happened. There are actual views of what happened. So I wanted to mention this because I think that sometimes we get so hung up on, is it truth? Is it real? And now President Trump has weighed in on how to do this. I'm not sure that it is something that can truly be done. And where do you find the truth? I just think it is something that the Trump administration has done the executive order, and the Smithsonian is undergoing a sweeping review to ensure its exhibits align with President Trump's vision of American history. How about just aligning it under the truth? But then the question is, how do you get to the truth? And particularly when you're talking about 250 years. They want to make sure that President Trump wants to make sure this review that started in August, this August, as of mid-August, the administration formally ordered a review of exhibits at the Smithsonian's 8 major museums, including the National Museum of American History, the African American History and Cultural Museum, to ensure alignment with American exceptionalism, to remove divisive or partisan narratives ahead of the nation's 250th anniversary, to enforce changes within a 120-day timeline. Just FYI, they do bring up that the impeachment exhibit, as I said, has been softened. After backlash, it restored the references, but with more neutral language. Display language softened, and they have supposedly changed that. But I do think that is an undertaking that you really can't win at. If you are a MAGA Trump person, you probably think it's okay, that is good. I'm a Trump supporter, but I do worry about, are we sanitizing and doing away with some of the things that should be, but we should be making sure that we're not getting rid of the other side. And in history, there is always another side. So it should be, what shall we say, the old phrase that Fox News used to say, fair and balanced? Yes, it should be fair and balanced and should not tilt one way or the other. We just had a comment come in from one of our Supremo texter here. I think his vision is good, but his approach is lousy. I think that really sums it up. Can this be done through a open lens, just verifying the truth? I don't think so. And I think that is the thing that caught my attention when I started looking into this. He signed an executive order 14253 titled Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History. Sanity? I'm not sure I agree with that. But anyways, directed the review and removal of improper ideology from Smithsonian properties, meaning content deemed partisan, divisive, or critical of American values. Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. That's what being a free country is about. You certainly wouldn't want your museum to promote divisive ideas, maybe, or critical of the, but those views are out there. our history has been turbulent. Our history has not always been the great American history. The very fact that our history is what it is, and America is still here, and we still continue to work to make our union more perfect, is a testament to America. You know, one of the museums, when I went to Washington, D.C. many times years ago, 15, 16, not 17, but 12 through 15, I was there a lot. One of my favorite places to go was the Newseum. And the Newseum had the news from all over. When you walked up to the Newseum, they had like newspapers from 30 or 40 different places. And you could go and read today's headlines from each of the different slants of the different newspapers. And I'm talking about not just newspapers in the United States, I'm talking about newspapers overseas, the Philippines, wherever you get this news. And then when you went inside, they had exhibits about certain things. They had a helicopter that flew in 9/11. They had pieces of the wall, the Berlin Wall, coming down. It was a fabulous museum. And somewhere along the way, they closed, they got sold. I think one of the universities up there bought the property, and who knows what it's used for now. But to me, that was one of the saddest things that happened. And the reason being because the news reports were what they had. And anything you wanted to research or look at, they even went back to one of our favorite exhibits to visit was the beginning of TV and how the colors, how people had to dress in certain colors. And I just like personally, because I have a big interest in video and this type of thing. So I loved looking at that. But you could go through and find the history of anything that had been reported by the news. And all they gave you was the news. They didn't report it with any slant. It was the news as it was presented that day, because those were the news reports you had. I actually miss that. I miss that. So I wanted to mention that because I just think that that this is. I think that is such a resource for the world. I don't know exactly what happened to everything. I guess I could look it up, but I don't know. I just remember being sad about that. But anyways, back to Trump and the executive order restoring truth and sanity to American history. I think one of the things that we need to be careful of is that our history is presented as our history is, not as we'd like our history to be remembered. And you know, part of the problem with history is everybody wants to remember it the way they want to remember it. I could refer to something else, but I'm not going there today. I'm not going there. But I think that it is most important that whatever is being done to our Smithsonian, that we maintain all the sides to the history, because it's not just one way. And it's not how we would like to remember it. And as far as American exceptionalism, America is an exceptional country because we have survived. Because we have weathered the storms, because we are still working on making sure that we try to get things right. Anyways, I just wanted to have that discussion. I just found that most interesting. There's a lot more to this story, but we need to move on. Remember, exhaustipated, when you're just too tired to give a crap anymore. Exhaustipated. I love this word. I just love it. Exhaustipated. When you're just too tired to give a crap anymore. And they didn't use the word crap, but I'm using it because I think it's more ladylike. There you go. All right. When you're just too tired to give a crap anymore. All right. Another just point of reference, and this is just something that I was listening to, I think, last night on the great station, WCRS, about Democrats canceling each other. Isn't that true? The Democrats are just, they're literally eating themselves, trying to find a leader, trying to find a situation. They're just eating each other up left and right. Right now, what is his name? Schumer. Pencil neck. What's his name? God, come on, Ann. What's his name? Pencilneck has got himself in a big problem right now because it's come out that he actually was leaking a lot of documents back on January 6th. They can't seem to get out of their own way and come up with a consistent message. I think this is such a travesty. Such a travesty. And people are going to say, why is it a travesty? We don't need those Democrats. The one thing you do need in order to have a good and solid anything. I don't care whether you're talking about a business. I don't care whether you're talking about a school. I don't care whether you're talking about the government. You need a couple of sides to balance off of. It's pretty boring if you work for an organization that doesn't ever accept or won't even let you throw out an idea of a possibility on how to make things better, how to expand what we're doing, how to get more people to come to our business, how to. I know there are plenty of businesses that are that way, but in the long run, those businesses don't survive that well. Businesses survive well by being inclusive and making the place where you work, you want to see it succeed. So, while I am not for the Democrats and some of the crap that they come up with, because I'm exhausted. I do think that you need more than one party. I do think you need to have a balance of what is going on so that other sides are brought to the fore. Now, in the end, the one that has the best ideas and gets the most acceptance from in the fact of our government, from the country, should be the party that succeeds. I guess that's why we're going through redistricting in the middle of a period. It's normally done every 10 years. They're looking at they're doing it now in Texas in 5 years. Newsom says, we're not going to do that in California. Okay, well, anyways. But other states are looking at it too. In fact, in truth, right here in South Carolina, they are looking at redistricting, really, Clyburn right out of his district. I don't know whether they'll succeed at it or not. They might. They could divide the district, which would be, I guess, the way to give it a smaller footprint. I'm not really sure how they would do it. But redistricting is a it's called, well, the winner gets to decide who we're going to be able to vote for. Okay. How about making it based on the population and the people? Why do we draw districts that sometimes seem so wonky? Like having a district that goes all the way to Lexington, Saluda, up by the Lay, and then up to Greenwood. Why do we do some of the things we do in order, this is for South Carolina I'm talking about, to make it more difficult for the representative or senator to have to deal with it? Why do they carve right down the center of a district that was a good district to divide it? These are just some of my questions today. And my questions are based on the fact we really need more points of view than just one. We cannot have history based on a a belief that we would like. We need to have history as it is. We need to have 2 points of view or 3 points of view or 5 points of view in order to get to a point of view that makes the largest amount of people happy as far as politics. I think it's great. I think it's great that President Trump has a vision and that he's willing to stand there and fight for it. But the devil is always in the details. And that's where people need to come together as human beings working for the best of our country. And unfortunately, in this time period in our history, we do not see the best coming together. We have Democrats turning on Democrats. We have Republicans maybe taking more of a high ground than normal. But we haven't always seen the Republicans being as united. In fact, in my opinion, since I've been doing this, this is the first time I've seen Republicans united as a group. Normally, what you see is the Democrats very united and the Republicans all over the place. So wouldn't it be nice if two parties could come together and look at it from two different perspectives to come up with the best policy for everyone? Yes, I think that would be. And that we need that because we are a very diverse country. Otherwise, this country becomes a country just for one type of person. And I think one of the things that makes our country so great is the fact that we have all these different opinions. So that's just my opinion here this morning. Adam Schiff, that's who I was trying to think about. Adam Schiff, pencil neck, yes, okay. Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff now is under investigation for leaking documents and supposedly on record saying get it out to news sources so they can report on it. This idea that our news sources did not become independent sources. There is a difference between somebody like me, a talker that talks about and gives out her opinions, and the news source, which is supposed to be straight down the line. These are the facts. Now, if somebody is doing an opinion piece, it needs to say this is an opinion, right? Right. Okay. Anyways, just some of my thoughts here this morning. I sometimes look at this whole thing and I get exhaustipated. When you're too tired to give a crap anymore, I get exhausted by all the back and forth and sometimes would just like a straight line view of exactly the way it is. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm Ann Eller, right here with you this morning. All right, let's talk about some of the events and everything that are going to be going on this afternoon on Meet Me at the Diner. I am going to be replaying the interview that I did with Sherry Biggs last week. Sherry Biggs is having her big salute to liberty, I believe it's called, this coming Monday up there in Anderson. We are actually going to go to that. We will be reporting live from that event. So that's why you need to sign up for notifications if you're interested. If you're interested to see what I am doing when it comes to at the event, pushing maybe some interviews and stuff that I get, and maybe just giving you the inside view of what's happening up there if you're not going to be able to go. But tickets are available to it. Veterans get to go for, military, first responders. I think they get to go for $1. But tickets, I believe, are $30. They're going to have a good barbecue meal. And they're going to have Sarah Huckabee Sanders is going to be the keynote speaker, as well as others. I do understand that Governor McMaster is supposed to be there on that. Speaking of Governor McMaster, I'm going to take I had an article that I found where Lindsey Graham has advised Governor McMaster not to endorse anybody right now for governor. I thought that was an interesting take. Did anybody see this story? It's rather interesting. It's from the state newspaper. Will Trump endorse in South Carolina governor's race? Here's what Lindsey Graham thinks. He's advising President Donald Trump to hold off endorsing in the governor's race, at least for now. The president asked, I said, let's just kind of let it play out a bit, Graham told reporters ahead of the Silver Elephant event. I doubt if he would endorse. Just wait and see what happens if there's a runoff, Graham added. The race for governor, of course, as we know, includes 5 Republicans vying to succeed him because McMaster can't run for re-election. With early polling showing none of the hopefuls near the majority support needed to cinch the nomination, a runoff is expected. So we have the Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette. We have State Senate Josh Kimbrell, which I don't know whether he's going to make it or not. Representative Nancy Mace, who had according to media reports, a mostly positive town hall in Rock Hill. Okay, mostly positive. That's surprising. U.S. Representative Ralph Norman and Attorney General Alan Wilson all have jumped into the race for the Republican nomination. Receiving Trump's endorsement may be the key to winning the nomination, as the president remains popular in the state. The president may be looking to see who can win the race and raise the necessary cash. But I just thought that he's advising Donald Trump, to hold off from endorsing somebody. Well, what about our governor? Is our governor going to endorse somebody? That's what I want to know. He's close to all these people that are running. More close, probably, to Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette. Who is he going to endorse? That's who I want to know. I think President Trump's endorsement carries weight, but I also think the governor's endorsement carries even more weight. So what's he waiting for? That's what I want to know. What is he waiting for? So the race for governor is still open, and Lindsey Graham is telling the president, don't endorse anybody right now. Just hold your horses. Now, both Pamela Evette and Alan Wilson have both said, Attorney General Alan Wilson have said that they really expect that he would support one or the other of them. So I think those really are probably the 2 top contenders, although Ralph Norman has shown some traction for being a House representative and wanting to come home. I maintain Ann Eller's opinion is Nancy Mace and Ralph Norman both needed to get out of Congress, because regardless of Nancy Mace talking about how she's a Trump in heels, that's an interesting thought for your brain, isn't it? That she has really worn out her welcome in Washington, D.C., I do believe. Ralph Norman has been at odds with President Trump on many issues. In fact, he has held out his vote and then at the last minute, don't know whether he's looking to get some press or something, decides he can support whatever. So both of those are looking for an off-ramp, and that's why the governor's race, I do believe, is attractive to both of them. So, let's go back to what else I was going to talk about. I just had forgotten about that story and wanted to put that out there. You know, you never know what you're going to get on this show, do you? Somebody was talking to me, or I was talking to somebody the other day, and she was talking about her attention span is just shot. She used to have a great attention span. Now she cannot have an attention span. She just zip, zip, zip. And we came to the conclusion that computers have done this to us. We used to be able to watch an episode and hold on till next week, till the next TV episode came on. Now it's like, my God, I got to have the whole thing now, and if I don't like the way the direction is going, I'm going to Google it and find out what the ending is, and then if I want, I'll go back and watch it. So it is interesting how our brains, and does social media and all these things, you go to look up one thing, you start scrolling through social media, you see a cute dog video or this video, and all of a sudden your mind is going in all these different directions. I become exhaustipated. When you're just too tired to give a crap anymore and you just have to shut it all down. There you go. Anyways, that is, I think that is an accurate description of our lives right now. We just can't focus on anything long term. All right, I did want to go right here, and I did want to talk about, but I guess I'll have to save this for tomorrow, multiple downtown Greenville brawls. On the viral video sparks calls for change. They are having some issues at downtown Greenville. I've seen some videos of some wild fights and brawls. I guess not fights, but more brawls going on in Greenville, which surprises me. So people are beginning to have some concerns about Greenville, particularly, I guess, on a Friday night, Saturday night, this type of thing. I know that they are increasing police protection in those areas, but the very fact that we're seeing this is concerning. So hopefully we'll be able to get to that maybe tomorrow. But what did I want to talk about? I wanted to talk about some of the events that are going on in our area that you might be interested in, and have and we could talk about those real quick. So let's see if I can do this. I will cancel. I don't want that. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about some of these events right here that are kind of interesting coming up. I hope I can find this one that is for tomorrow evening. I think that would be a good one. By the way, we talked to Flyby electric e-bikes, the e-bikes guys that are here in town now. Their store is right out at right next to the Greenwood sandwich shop. Very interesting conversation we had yesterday afternoon about the future of electric bikes, how this is an exciting addition here in Greenwood. I think one of the things that is exciting, and I did not realize, is that the city is actually working on the potential to have some bike paths. So whether you ride an electric bike or whether you ride a regular bike, to actually have some bike paths. I think one of the other things that Andrew Ellenberg brought to, he is one of the owners of Flyby electric bikes. One of the interesting things that he brought up is how many paths are actually out there in our area to ride. So whether it's dirt or gravel or paved, but he said you would be amazed how many there are, particularly right here in Greenwood, So that's something. Flyby bikes, they are getting more bikes in. They're looking at a leasing program. Plus, if you want something fun to do with the family, very, very affordable. Very, very affordable. You do have to be, I believe, 14 or older to have your own bike to lease, although a lot of the bikes are like two-seaters, so you can put two people on the bike. So make sure you check them out if you're looking for something great to do. All right, the Humane Society is having a adopt any pet over 2 years old for $22. And on Tuesday, I think they were doing that was on Tuesday. Don't know if that was just for Tuesday or if they're still doing that today. There is, though, a job fair coming up August 21st at the Upper Savannah Regional Job Fair, Thursday, August 21st from 10 to 1. It'll be at the Medford Family Event Center out there at Piedmont Tech. Somewhere here near the end of the year, they are actually going to be, I didn't realize this, they're actually going to be closing the Medford Center out there, and they are going to be reimagining, redesigning. They have a plan. They are going to be rebuilding, remodeling out there, changing a lot of what has been and making it a bigger area. I was talking to somebody out there at Piedmont Tech. They were really excited about it. But for right now, Thursday, August 21st from 10 to 1 at the Medford Family Event Center. They are going to be having a job fair. So make sure you check that out. It is from 10 to 1. Come dressed for success. Bring your resumes and see if you can find a job. Find a job. That's a good thing. Other things that are happening coming up on August 30th, Lights on the Lake. You know, they didn't have them in for July 4th. They moved this to Lights on the Lake. That will be Saturday, August 30th, starting at 4 p.m. at Fellowship Camp and Conference Center. And that, of course, is a good one. They will come by boat or land. Just don't miss it. Saturday, August 30th, Lights on the Lake. They'll have they're going to be having a lot of fun. Live music from a month of Mondays and Outshine. Fireworks at approximately 8:45. They're going to have a tailgate, pavilion, and huge screens for the big games. How about that? Free to attend, $10 parking, must register for parking. So that, of course, is Labor Day weekend. Also, coming up this morning, it is at the YMCA. That is at 11 to 12 today. Last week, we had Dr. Santosh with us on WCRS. Great interview talking about bariatric surgery and all the parts of that. I highly recommend, if you have any interest in that, you go back and watch it, because there's a lot more sides to that than I realized. So please go back and watch that. It's right there on our site, WCRS, on Facebook. It's on our Facebook page, WCRS 98.5 FM /1450 AM. Go to videos and scroll down, and you'll see lots of them. Lots of videos. If you're not a Facebooker, you can go to our website, WCRS1450am.net. And right there on the front page are all the videos we do. Scroll down and you'll find it. That was last Thursday. Anyways, he is going to be at the YMCA today from 11 to 12 with their Get Moving with Self programs, Conversation with a Doc, and it is going to be Dr. Santosh will be the speaker there today. So anybody can go. This is totally open. If you'd like to go, please check that out. All right. There is just so much out there. Do we have this weekend, August 16, 6 until 9 at the Fountain. They are doing their monthly cruise-in, and that is this Saturday from 6 to 9. Go see all the beautiful cars, hang out, have a conversation. It's really a pretty cool get-together there that I like. Really think that is pretty awesome. There's so many events coming up. It's really great. The Princess Tea Party is this weekend, this Saturday at the museum. That, of course, is sold out for the morning, but it does have a 2 o'clock, unless they've just sold it out, but 2 o'clock will be the tea party that is open. It's a great experience. $30 for children, $15 for an accompanying adult. So check that out. That is at the museum this Saturday. All right, now everybody's been asking about Whataburger. Opening day, September 11th, 9 a.m. September 11th, Whataburger. Now, they are hiring out there. This was a post from a couple of days ago. Text them at 864-650-2073. That's 864-650-2073. Their building looks like it is done, but there you go. They're opening on September 11th. Also, at the Greenwood Mall, they're opening a iMart Express. iMart Express is going into the formerly Linnell's location right there, what used to be one of the main entrances to the mall. So that is going on. Also, open interviews at Chick-fil-A. August 15th and 16th, and if you missed that one this week, you can go next week, the 22nd to the 23rd, 2 to 5 p.m. at the mall location. So if you are looking for a job, and a good job, part-time job, I'm sure they have part-time available, 2 to 5, the 15th and the 16th, and the same goes for the following week, the 22nd and 23rd. That's an excellent opportunity. Now, tomorrow is Veterans Appreciation Day at Frank's Car Wash. Not veterans. What are you thinking about? Oh, because I got veterans on the brain. We got something else coming on for veterans. Law Enforcement Appreciation Day is tomorrow. That is at Frank's Car Wash. All law enforcement, first responders can get their cars washed for free. Their one personal car and their work vehicle can be washed for free. So, if you would like to get this done, that is tomorrow. You just have to show an ID for, I guess, your work badge or whatever to be able to do this, and they would love to make you feel good in a clean car. So that is your work car and your work vehicle and your personal car, and they'll be very busy over there. I applaud John Cooper over there at Frank's Car Wash for doing this every year. I think it is such a good show of support for our law enforcement. Now, I also want to tell you about August 16th from 10 to 2. They are doing an All-American MVP car wash at Greenwood Charter Academy. So they are trying to raise money for a trip to the All-American MVP tournament. So they want to wash your car. They're going to have a hot dog plate, or you can just give a donation. That will be coming up on Saturday from 10 to 2. They'll be at the Greenwood Charter Academy parking lot behind the mall from 10 to 2. All support is greatly appreciated, and you can get your car wash and or you can just get your hot dog plate, but they are looking for donations for that. And that MVP is the All-American Softball Tournament in North Myrtle Beach. These girls that are on the team were honored to be invited to play, so we are putting them to work to try to offset some of their costs. So come out and get your car washed by these girls and grab a hot dog plate, and they'll also be selling. If nothing else, please help get the word out. And that's what we are doing right here on WCRS Radio. Now, Friday, August 15th at 6 p.m., they are having the Greenwood Football Jamboree. As I said earlier, we will not be broadcasting that, but Game 1 is 6 p.m., Crescent versus Emerald. Game 2 is at 7 p.m., McCormick versus Dixie. Game 3 is at 8 p.m., Palmetto versus 96. Game 4 is at 9 p.m., Abbeville versus Greenwood. Tickets are $10 each. And I guess they do have some passes that you probably can use. So that is coming up this Friday. So football season is back. Anyways, there is a lot more to talk about that's going on in our community, but I think I better get finished right here on WCRS. I hope that you all have a great day. I hope you tune in this afternoon where I'm going to be replaying. We'll actually be live on Facebook, and we'll be replaying the live video at the same time, so you can see that right here on WCRS. So that's going to do it for me. Take it away. Have a great day. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you stay cool. Still a lot cooler than it had been, right? Still a lot cooler than it has been. Thank goodness for that. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is WCRS Radio. Bye-bye, everybody. Penny says goodbye, too. Okay, you saying goodbye? All right, Penny says goodbye.